Hey everybody, welcome to Game Day View. Patrick Claybon back here with Greg Rosenthal and Cynthia Freeland, here to get you set for an exciting Week 7 where we didn't have as many upsets last week, so everything looked pretty good, Greg.
The biggest upset here is, though, Patrick continues to lead in the standings. And frankly, Cynthia, I think it's about time. You know what I mean? He's been on the show a while. Let's start pulling your weight, Patrick. Time to win one.
Like, calling them sneak disses doesn't necessarily provide the full credit. Let's take a look at the standings since Greg is so excited about it. The universe preferred a little chalk. Cynthia's nipping at my heels after sacrificing the Lions against the Chiefs, but I will keep the crown for now at 56.
I think it's your time.
We'll see. Tough to celebrate when everybody's so happy about it. Let's talk some ball. 2 years ago, the Lions knocked off the Bucs out of the playoffs. Then last year in Week 2, Baker Mayfield's squad went to Detroit and got some revenge. They won 20-16. Baker finished with 185 yards, a passing TD, a very nice rushing touchdown. And Jared Goff had a game he'd like to forget, throwing no touchdowns, had 2 picks in that game. So let's discuss this big rematch Sunday night in the Motor City. Baker's getting MVP chance at home. The Lions coming off a loss to those Chiefs. How does this one go, Cynthia?
I have a 3-point win in a high-scoring affair for the Lions, 28-25. I cried at that playoff game with the Lions won. I mean, the Lions beat the Bucs. I was crying. It was good. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is a huge difference maker in this one. Last week we saw some things we don't usually see, which is, not a connection between he and Jared Goff. Why does Jared Goff have the best completion percentage in the league? In large part due to this guy. He's so reliable. I think sometimes we don't talk about him enough amongst the top wide receivers in the league. I know I'm from mid-Michigan, so maybe in my mentions we see a lot more of Amon-Ra St. Brown, but overall in general, he doesn't get the kind of same talk as like a Justin Jefferson, but he's a huge difference maker, and in this game, he will be the difference maker.
Yeah, you subtract 1 from both sides of your score, and you get my score, Cynthia.
There you go.
I've got a 27-24, because although it's like the Lions are kind of alternating which position group is hurt at the moment, they do have Aiden Hutchinson back and Allie McNeil going to play. I won't say what Dan Campbell said because he was more emphatic about McNeil playing.
Dagnabbit.
But I think they get a matchup of Hutchinson with Charlie Heck and kind of leave Tristan Wirfs alone here. Heck is giving up the 2nd highest pressure rate among right tackles, while Hutchinson has the 2nd most pressures in the entire league. I enjoy the Lions front 7. I think I like the fact that they're at home in this one, so roar, Greg.
Yes, roar, and you can put the Lions graphic all across the bottom. You can meme us away, but you can also watch this show a few different ways. You can also look at that number, -5.5, and notice all 3 of us are actually on the Bucs side of things here. I think it's a 1-point game. I'm tempted to take the Bucs because of Vita Vea and this defense for Tampa Bay. First of all, they stopped the run great, but even when Vita Vea is rushing the passer, you can put 2 guys on him. It's a newfangled interior offensive line for the Lions. 2 guys is not enough for Vita Vea. He has faced the 3rd most amount of double teams in the entire NFL this year. He leads the NFL in pressures when he is double teamed. 5 pressures last week alone, while you're putting 2 men on this mountain of a man. And there's a lot of injuries for the Lions in the secondary. We don't know about their offensive line either. I might flip my pick, but either way, 5.5 points is disrespectful. I don't like it. I think this is a close game, and the Bucs keep it close at the very least.
Vita Vea feeling young and spry, had a roughing the kicker last week because he's just trying to get out there and move around. Speaking of being large, time for Who's Eating Good, presented by Applebee's. Baker Mayfield has been balling, Cynthia. Will he pass for more or less than 244 yards against the Lions?
Heck yeah, he'll pass for more than that number, in large part because who's playing in the secondary for the Lions? I don't know. We'll sign someone off the practice squad and
not TJ Reed.
Nope.
Not Brian Branch.
Nope.
Suspended.
Not Terrion Arnold. And Kirby Joseph doesn't look 100%. So things look great for the Lions secondary. It's all going to be okay. I'm going to be just fine. But no, Baker Mayfield has had a great season. He's dealing with a banged-up wide receiving core, but I still think that number goes higher, especially because I have such a high-scoring game forecast. You don't get to a high-scoring game without throwing for a lot of passing yards.
And we'll go from the NFC South's best quarterback at the moment to a guy who might be one of the lead candidates for Offensive Player of the Year in the division, Bijan Robinson, electric right now.
Buffalo adds another man to the front. They're going to hand to Robinson, right side, through the first wall, around the corner. Here goes Bijan Robinson. Keeps his feet. 30, 25, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown Atlanta. Oh, my my goodness. The math on this one is easy. 81 to the house.
Bijan and the Falcons coming off a huge win over the Bills. They've got the 49ers on Sunday night. Brock Purdy's status still uncertain. George Kittle expected to be back for this one. How does the matchup look at the moment to you, Cynthia?
Well, let's go back to Bijan there for a second, because in an alternate universe, I think he's still running all over the Bills. But Atlanta wins this one 23-21 because of the missing matchup aspect between Bijan and no Fred Warner. The massive-sized hole that's left when Fred Warner is not on the field results in, rushing yards increasing by about 1 per play, maybe even more. And same thing in the pass catching game as well. So I'm pouring a little one out for Fred Warner. He is a real one. He is the best linebacker that we're seeing. And it's not even close in the league. And without him, Bijan Robinson, by the way, Bijan Robinson did a bunch of charity for kids where he brought a whole bunch of books. He just gave a ton of books to kids. So you like kids reading and you're great at football? I mean, wins all around here, folks.
Yeah, full-on renaissance, man. He was starring in Netflix programs as they had an opportunity there. He was on NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal.
Great guest.
He's
Exactly.
doing everything. I've got the Falcons by 4, 24-20, and that's all that they have to do with the number 4, because Jeff Ulbrich, he went down to Georgia, and he is sending people. He is sending them flying at the quarterback. He blitzed Josh Allen more in a game than he has been since 2021. They have a blitz rate this season of 48.7. The next highest team is not even in the 40s. They're 11 points higher than the next closest team. If you're looking for a comp, they're just behind the 2023 Vikings in terms of blitz rate. The Niners' ground game isn't what it once was, Greg. I'm concerned. I've got the Birds by 4.
I am concerned because of all the injuries, but sometimes you get good injury news, and you get that with George Kittle. I got the 49ers winning. I got a Just Greg. Here's a number for you. Just Greg, 7-4 on the season, and you're giving me a home favorite. Kyle Shanahan gets it done. George Kittle is so massive for this team. He has a multiplying effect. He is like the Patrick Claybon of the 49ers.
Exactly.
You put him on the field, suddenly Christian McCaffrey's better. So you put Patrick in a show, suddenly I'm better. Cynthia's better.
Exactly.
Kittle opens things up for Kendrick Bourne, who already might be the best wide receiver in the entire NFL. He's only gonna get better. I don't care who's at quarterback for the 49ers. I trust them bouncing back against the Falcons.
You owe George Kittle a huge apology. Nobody wants to be compared to me.
Stop.
At all.
Versatile. Run and pass game.
Our next matchup features 2 of the top teams in the NFL squaring off at Wembley Stadium in London.
London's calling.
One play at a time. Play for the man next to you. Dominate this game 60 minutes. Dominate on 3, 1, 2, 3. Dominate.
Stafford, he's hits Devontae. Hits a touchdown. That was a dive.
See ya.
This is a new sensation.
Touchdown LA.
Brian Thomas Jr. into the end zone.
Gather round, clap your hands, stamp your feet, get on down.
Touchdown Jacksonville.
We'll see you in Wembley.
Snooze off, game on. Sunday morning football continues in London, presented by NetApp. Matthew Stafford and the Rams versus Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, only on NFL Network. Also streaming with NFL Plus. Subscription required for NFL Plus. Visit plus.nfl.com for terms. Rams and Jags both sitting at 4-2. LA likely without Puka Nacua, who's walking away with their 5th win of the season in this one, Greg.
I got to admit, I don't know. Okay. I mean, I never know, but this game, I really don't know. I'm taking the Rams. I like both of those teams. I think it's very evenly matched, but I'm really curious to see how Davante Adams does here as the number 1 receiver. So it hasn't all been efficient to Davante Adams this season. You're seeing a successful red zone play to Davante Adams, but actually in contested catch situations and in general for this team in the red zone, it's been a little sporadic. To my eyes, he looks like the old Davante Adams, but they haven't totally been in sync. Now you have a week where you're preparing for a Jaguars defense that just traded for Greg Newsome, who gave up a big play a week ago, and you know that Puka Nacua is not going to be out on the field. I trust Sean McVay to come up with a game plan to get this connection looking like this. We're seeing all the best plays. It's just been a little up and down, and I think this week they get it straightened out.
I've got a similar score to you, Greg. I got a Rams win by 3, 23-20. Injuries playing a role in my decision, more so for the Jags as Greg Lloyd is out for this game, but the Rams, they have their tackling machine. Nate Landman, occupying territory overseas now, 17 tackles a week ago, 7 run stops on a team where the pass rushers sometimes are really concerned about rushing the pass and not really doing a whole lot else. Landman is key, and I think the Jags really, really miss Devin Lloyd. Tough to overstate the issue there. So 23-20 Rams win for me, Cynthia.
Well, I guess I'm on an island here, but is a prime number. I have the Jags winning this one 22-21. I want to show you something that happened last week. You may have missed it because it wasn't something that we saw a lot of, but there he is. Do you remember Brian Thomas Jr.? I know he's been on a milk carton, but there he is. And look at that. He ends up in the end zone. Now, am I going to say that I love the opportunity for Trevor Lawrence to really have just a bang-up passing day against this Rams front? No, I'm not going to go that far. But I think that just enough push with Brian Thomas Jr. stretching the field, and then, of course, how effective the run game has been will help them overcome an O-line that I don't know if they're as great as they were in the beginning of the season, but I don't think they're as bad as they've looked kind of in the past 2 or 3 games. But I think that they're somewhere in between. But again, Brian Thomas Jr., just a little bit of stretching the field. That matters.
And I know you like numbers. Prime numbers
I
this
do like
year.
numbers.
8-3 when Cynthia's on her island. It's a
Pretty
nice
good
place to be.
Cynthia's on an island. The game is on an island.
Oh, my goodness.
It all starts to
Cynthia
make
was on
sense.
that island last week. Oh, my, it's all coming back.
When we come back, if you know an Eagles fan, hold them close. Because if they lose Sunday to Carson Wentz and the Vikings, there's going to be chaos on the streets and on the airways in Philadelphia. Will Wentz get his revenge? Our picks for Eagles-Vikings coming up next on Game Day View. We're back on Game Day View with NFL Plus. Keep the NFL in reach. Stream live, local, and primetime games on mobile during the regular and postseason. NFL Network, including 7 exclusive live games, live game audio, and more. With NFL Plus Premium, get more football with NFL RedZone, game replays, and NFL Pro. Sign up today at plus.nfl.com/network. Terms and conditions apply. It's time for Seize the Season, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, as we take a look at the first touchdown score odds, according to our friends over at Caesars, between the Vikings and the Eagles. Jordan Mason and Saquon Barkley leading the way, with Jalen Hurts and Justin Jefferson significantly behind all those guys who get a lot of touchdowns on the ground. Let's discuss this game a bit more. The Vikings are coming off the bye. The Eagles coming off of 2 straight losses. Does Philly skid end here, Cynthia?
I don't think it's a skid, but it's a 1-point win. So I know Philadelphia fans, and it could be like a 50-point win. I don't know if they'll be happy yet. 24-23 is my score, but I want to talk about Saquon Barkley because probably the most popular guy in Philadelphia right now, Kevin Patullo, he said he wanted to add to the run game. He wants to run the ball more. Saquon Barkley has not had anywhere near the yardage, efficiency, usage, yards before contact, all the things we saw last season. Perhaps the offense has gotten a bit vanilla. I'm not going to opine on that. What I will say is that in this matchup, look for things that are good at beating blitzes, beating pressures, perhaps some screen passes, perhaps some things where you're shifting, to one side and have a convoy of people that Saquon Barkley could fall. Do some things that are a bit, I don't want to call them simple, but easier things that we know that this offensive line can do, we know Saquon can do, to get him more volume. I think this is a big bounce back spot for Saquon Barkley. And maybe then Eagles fans will stop hating on Kevin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they just like doing it. I don't know.
I've got an Eagles win as well, Cynthia. I've got 25-21, with the offense looking a little bit better. And as Cynthia pointed out, maybe not as vanilla. The conversation this week wasn't about Bible quotes on Twitter. It was from Lane Johnson saying the offense was predictable. Kevin Patullo had responses to that. So let's talk about the most predictable thing that they do. Shove the ball across the line. They did it on multiple consecutive plays in the loss. There it is, against the Giants, where they need to do they're very successful, obviously, at the brotherly shove and in a lot of other plays. But yeah, the offense has become very, very predictable. Perhaps an opportunity to mix things up in this Carson Wentz potential revenge game, Greg, that I don't think he gets.
I agree with both of you and appreciate your point so much that I'm just going to put the Eagles score up there. I think they'll win. It's really more about the Vikings defense not being as trustworthy. And I'll take it to Carson Wentz and take you back all the way to 2017. And this is a picture I actually took on the way into the divisional round. They were making big rigs of Wentzylvania. And I think right now people think about Carson Wentz in Philadelphia and they think of the bad things. Oh, he wasn't great in the locker room or whatever. They had never won the Super Bowl in their entire history as a franchise. What if I told you there's no freaking chance they would have ever won the Super Bowl if not for Carson Wentz? He got them out to an 11-2 start that year. He was the #1 quarterback in the league in QBR that year. He actually got third place in the MVP votes that year for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's how good he was, setting up a #1 seed where they just barely won in that divisional round game, helped out by the home field that Carson Wentz got them. So a little appreciation for Carson Wentz.
Wasn't it Nick Foles?
I mean, of course Nick Foles got it, but it's a team sport. Everyone helped out.
A rising tide, lifting all the boats. Then how about that? Greg going in big for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, big.
Season is brought to you by Caesar Sportsbook. New users can bet $1 to boost their next 20 bets by 100%. Must be 21 or older. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Let's stay in the NFC East. Jaden Daniels and Dak Prescott set to square off this week. Take a look at their numbers from the last week. Where for the fans of QB wins out there, they both did not get that. But look at the numbers. 211 pass yards for Jaden Daniels. Of course, there was the brutal fumble, but 3 touchdown passes, 119 passer rating. And yeah, once again, Dak Prescott did almost everything he could, but it wasn't enough with the Cowboys defense on the other side. It's time for the read presented by Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft Copilot, your AI companion for NFL game day and every day. We ask Copilot to give us the top 3 matchups to watch in this NFC East showcase. Jaden staying upright after a rough game last week. Javonte Williams bouncing back after his worst game of the year. And the turnover battle being things that we should keep an eye on. Let's break down this matchup between the division rivals. There's a chance both Terry McLaurin and CeeDee Lamb play on Sunday. Who gets a win, Greg?
I have the Commanders. I think they're better overall, and the quarterbacks might be very even, but Jaden Daniels is getting closer to that Dak Prescott level because of his scrambling ability. You saw it. He's still wearing that knee brace in Chicago, but I thought he had the juice back in his legs. After a couple days where he was quiet on the ground, you could not catch up to Jaden Daniels. It was like an automatic first down when he decided to scramble in this game, and that's the X factor, because I think the Bears had a good game plan for the Commanders in terms of being able to stop the run and load in the box, and yet the Cowboys defense is so inflexible. They don't play much man coverage. They don't really stop the run very well that I think the Commanders will be able to get some design runs, and then they'll also count on Jaden Daniels and his scrambling ability.
Yeah, I'm going to build off of that. I have a Washington win as well, but I have 1 point right now, 29-28. Why? Because all of those injury news pieces, I don't know exactly who's all playing. So if everyone plays, it's going to be a more convincing win for Washington. But as of right now, I don't really know. But ultimately, the thing that decides this one is the ability of the run game to have a little bit more time and not have mess-ups. Look at this mess-up. Look at the mechanics of this mess-up. Does that happen very often? No, that's called bad luck. The Bears, their defense has gotten healthier. They've gotten better. Now, does this happen very often? No. You know why it doesn't happen? Because they're professionals. Look at the weather, look at the situation. But I'm just saying that it's just bad luck. That is truly just bad luck. That's not bad play. Sure, it's great for the Bears to be able to recover it, but they're not going to be in that situation. There's a lot of zone defense, a lot more space that they'll be working with against this Dallas defense. So screw-ups happen. Remember that cat, like that kitten? Hang in there. That's what I just saw with that thing, that kitten poster. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
Hang it in there, because that's what the Commanders are going to be able to do. As Cynthia pointed out, it's going to be a nice, comfortable 71 degrees inside of AT&T Stadium.
Exactly.
No rain to be concerned about. We are all on the Washington Commanders here. We all have big scores because we're looking over at that Dallas Cowboys defense where things have not necessarily been great. Check out some Deebo Samuel. Hopefully he plays. Hopefully Terry McLaurin is able to play. But Deebo's getting right now 20% of the team's air yards against the Dallas defense that on 57% of passes, the receiver has more than 3 yards of separation. It's the worst rate in 2025. So, yeah, we're all taking the Commanders in a score fest, but we're still taking Washington. Coming up, let's not forget about the G-Men. Jackson Dart took down the champs last week, and he's got Giants fans believing. Will he pull off another big-time upset Sunday in Denver? He could, if you only knew the power of the Dart side.
Out to the left. Handoff, Scatterboo into the line, to the goal line. No signal yet. And touchdown Giants. Scatterboo's third rushing touchdown of the ball game. Oh, he does a backflip. And now the Giants lead at 33-17.
Oh, yeah, Scatterboo. Okay. Woo. Now give the woo. Yeah, Scatterboo.
I think we need the Scatterboo chant.
Scatterboo, Scatterboo, Scatterboo.
There we go.
You either see yourself become a meme or just become a meme and embrace it. The G-Men shocked Philly last week. Now they've got a tough Broncos team. Will Jackson Dart pull off another upset, Greg?
I didn't quite have the guts to pull off the upset, but I do think they keep this game close because of Jackson Dart and his rushing ability. So just a 3-point win for Denver. I know they're favored by a touchdown. I love that for the Giants. Jackson Dart has such a wild profile right now. He throws the ball deep almost more than any quarterback in the league, and it's not effective. He runs the ball more than any quarterback in the league, and it is quite effective. So the highest rate of designed runs of any quarterback in the entire NFL, and it's been very successful. Also, second in terms of scramble rate. So when the first read or the second read's not there, you run. And I think the way to beat this Broncos defense is to run. And so I think the Giants can keep the game close with a little dart, a little Scatterboo on the ground, and they at least don't lose by 7.
I kind of disagree. I have an 8-point win for the Broncos, 25-17. I want to talk about this Broncos defense because when I'm looking at what is the formula to make life so hard on a rookie quarterback, it comes in the form of Nick Bonito coming for your life. Go ahead. What were you going to say? He just
talked a little trash too to the Giants fan base, calling them delusional on Twitter.
If I had to run and hit people for a living, I would think their fans were delusional as well if they thought they could beat me. Think about it. You have to have that mentality if that is your line of work. It only seems right. But it's not just Nick Bonito. It's this whole defense together. They have the highest pressure rate. And if you look at what happens in coverage, I mean, is Malik Neighbors walking through that door? I don't think so. So ultimately, it's not, and I love the Jackson Dart moment. I love the Cam Scatterboo moment. It's very fun. I love a good meathead moment for sure. But I think in this matchup, it's going to come down to the entire 11 players on that defense being just way, way, way too difficult to overcome.
Bonito leads the league in sacks, but you can add 2 more to the total. He sacked me earlier this season, and now the Giants fan base. So
well, again,
he's up by a couple.
He's responding to particular aspects within the Giants fan base. He's not taking shots at the entire fan base, like people might say when I've got an 11-point win for the Broncos in this one, because the defense has been incredible. The reigning defensive player of the year might not have a lot to do in this game because, as Cynthia points out, no Malik Neighbors. They've got injuries to the other pass catchers. But let's discuss Patrick Surtain. They're playing more man than anyone else. They're allowing 4.8 yards per play right now. And in this matchup, paying attention to the RPOs, getting to Jackson Dart after they try to block up that first read, keep them from running the ball. I think it's a pretty convincing Broncos win. So like Cynthia, I passionately disagree with Greg Rosenthal. This game is expected to be one of the lowest scoring of the week. Let's check out the rest right there at the top. It's the Dolphins and the Browns. Looking at 37.5 at the total. The Texans.
I think it's going to be rainy there. I think the weather's going to be an issue in Cleveland, just so you know.
Pay attention to the forecast, folks, as we get to the 2-minute drill presented by the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. Allow us to make some quick picks in honor of that Active Cash credit card. The Raiders and Chiefs at Arrowhead. Mahomes and KC have won 3 of their last 4. Do they keep it rolling like the Raiders took that bus rolling around?
Absolutely they do, and they get over that big old number, 31-17.
Whoa.
We're back to an old school Chiefs team where they're a top 5 offense and a good enough defense. You replace Juju Smith-Schuster in about 45 snaps with Rashee Rice on the field in that same role. You get faster, you get more productive. You do not have the horses at linebacker, safety, or cornerback to keep up with the speedsters of the Chiefs. Make the Chiefs fun again. It's happened.
It has. Speaking of fun, the Saints and the Bears, it's a Dennis Allen revenge game. Does Chicago make it 4 wins in a row, Cynthia?
By 3 points, 24-21. Look out for a massive Romo Dunze game in this one. When I'm looking at what could the formula be? Well, it is Romo Dunze on 3rd down. It is Romo Dunze, whenever his quarterback gets into trouble. Who's he looking for? Caleb Williams' safety blanket. Sometimes we say the tight end's the quarterback's best friend. No, it's Romo Dunze, and it's not even close.
Let's go to the Packers and the Cardinals in the desert. Kyler Murray has been limited at practice this week. I will take the Packers 23-17. The Packers defense looks good in this one. And if you're concerned about last week's Joe Flacco game, let's go back and look at what actually happened. If you're a Packers fan that's like, oh, we can't defend the pass. It's Jamar Chase. Keshaun Nixon was all over him. He's just being a better football player than everybody. We're still waiting to get Marvin Harrison Jr. out of the concussion protocol. Wilson's not doing this. All love to Greg Dortch. He's not Uno. And Joe Flacco threw that one no look, I think. And here's the touchdown that's just egregious. I really just wanted to look at this play because that's an interception that turns into a touchdown. Yeah.
You know who else could make magic like that? How about a little Jacoby Brissett and Trey McBride? Come on. I think they'll keep it close. I like them to keep
Greg has a much closer score than I do. He's got 24-21. When we come back, Danny Dimes has been balling. Indy is the top team in the AFC, but they've got a monster matchup with Justin Herbert and the Bolts. A potential playoff preview. 7. Does Indiana Jones pull this one off? We'll tell you after the break. This week, the NFL International Series continues from Wembley Stadium in London as Matthew Stafford and the Rams face Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Sunday morning football presented by NetApp continues at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, only on NFL Network. Also streaming on NFL Plus. Subscription required for NFL Plus. Visit plus.nfl.com for terms. And it's time for More or Less as we discuss some player props for this week's Rams-Jags matchup in London. We will start with Cynthia Freeland. Will Matthew Stafford throw for more or less than 248 yards in the game?
More. Why? This is a bottom 5 passing defense. Matthew Stafford historically has had great opportunities. Yes, do I know exactly which pass catcher will benefit from this? Absolutely not. But I don't care because I'm not asked about that. I'm asked about Matthew Stafford. So it's more.
You know what Matthew Stafford eats up for breakfast? Zone defenses, and that's what the Jaguars really major in. Also, I'm not saying Roger Goodell can make this happen, but after the passing performances the last couple weeks in London, we're just looking for a lot of passing as a league, and Matthew Stafford can deliver. I just mean, let's just have some offense.
Roger Goodell's
pulling
the
phone it
strings.
in. Hey, hello, we're going to need a passing play here.
Smash route, please. Kyron Williams at 69 rushing yards. Does he get north of that number, Greg, more or less?
You know, this is what happens in a live show. Let's go over the number. I like Kyron Williams this week because their success rate in terms of when they're designing runs on the ground among the highest in the NFL. Blake Corum not 100% healthy. Kyron Williams with a really good bounce back performance against the Baltimore Ravens. The Jaguars are pretty tough up front, but ultimately I think good offense beats good defense. Rams run the ball well.
Sneaky little stat here is the Jags are very good at contacting rushers behind the line of scrimmage. So I'm with you on the total yardage, but be mindful. It could cause a turnover.
Yeah, got to protect the ball. I'll take the last one. 67 receiving yards for Brian Thomas Jr. I like the over.
Let's go.
Here, the last 2 weeks, he's averaging 85 yards a game. And then you go back to the start of the season. It's a new coaching staff. Liam Cohen in that tree that's like the tree of life, where the entire league has its tentacles on this coaching tree, on this offense. it was like they were trying to use Brian Thomas Jr. like he's Bobby Trees, like he's Cooper Kupp, but he's not. The outbreaking routes have been more successful for BTJ. I think he's up higher than that number.
You already know how I feel about Brian Thomas Jr. in this matchup, but here's one that you should also keep an eye on. It's the number for Travis Hunter. I think he goes over 35.5 receiving yards. So both of them. Moore's all around here.
I could see the Jaguars, and this is a big rivalry week for them. A lot of shared DNA. Les Snead, James Gladstone, the GM. They want to make that Travis Hunter pick look great in the national game. Like,
It just
they're going to highlight him.
36 yard makes him look great.
Maybe throw the ball down the field to Travis Hunter.
Take some shots. Have him cover well, too. Don't forget, you can catch this game Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on NFL Network. Speaking of London, here's a look at the remaining international games. So that's the one at Wembley on Sunday. And then in Berlin on November 9th, the Falcons and the Colts. And we'll finish up the international slate with the Washington Commanders taking on the Miami Dolphins Sunday, November 16th. It's time for What's Ahead, presented by Credit One Bank. Danny Dimes and the 5-1 Colts taking on the Chargers. The Bolts stole one last week in Miami. What do you see taking place here?
This is the toughest game to pick.
Okay, ready?
All right.
2, 3. Okay,
You did well
I feel
there.
better now.
I can only hope Daniel Jones is as accurate as we just were in this game. And I think he will be. He has been different this year. I like the Colts to win this game right now. Yes, the Chargers could get some players back. That could affect my decision. But Daniel Jones has been playing well under pressure. This is money time. Last week, fourth quarter, they need a drive. Pressure's on. Daniel Jones stands in there before taking a big-time hit on a throw over the middle, the type of play he wasn't hitting before. This is the 3rd and 7 situation. Final drive, again, under pressure, makes a quick decision, has answers that Shane Steichen is giving him. Quick outs. Josh Downs is another key guy to watch in terms of his status for this game. I think it's a toss-up. To me, it's a little bit of a stay away, but they make us pick, and I'll pick the Colts.
I'm happy to pick the Colts by 3 points in this one, 27-24. You talk about Danny Dimes being good under pressure. In fact, his passer rating is better under pressure than it is when he's not under pressure. You know why? Because he's got Jonathan Taylor helping him out at every turn. I did some radio this week, and they asked me some questions like, oh, are the Colts just for real, or is this like a joke? And I was so confused. So until the Colts are given the national love that they deserve, I'm going to keep talking about Jonathan Taylor. I'm just going to keep going over and over. Jonathan Taylor, insert here. Why? Most explosive plays in the league. Yards before contact, yards after contact. He's doing all of it. He's your scrimmage. Like, what more do you need from this team to be actually taken seriously? So I'm just going to talk about Jonathan Taylor every week until they get the love they deserve.
Yeah, radio guy.
If
radio people. Have Cynthia Freeland on. You got to come a little better. Are the Colts? Yes, it's not a joke. Like, nobody's out here pretending. I've got them winning by 7. Now, as Greg pointed out, the Chargers injuries, Joe Alt, if he's playing, Khalil Mack, maybe I'll bump the Chargers score up a little bit. But I'll take the Colts here because right now Tyler Warren is playing like a Rookie of the Year candidate. You have to look out and see if Emeka Egbuka is going to be back healthy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But against the Arizona Cardinals, Tyler Warren caught at least one pass, lined up tight to the formation, got a pass out in the slot, got a pass out wide as a wide receiver, and lined up in the backfield. They do everything with Tyler Warren, who's got more receiving yards than any other tight end in the NFL right now.
You know, I just came up with the next Greg stats that just occurred to me as we're talking about the game. What's the record for the Indianapolis Colts this year when they're not playing in SoFi Stadium? 5-0. What's their record in SoFi Stadium? 0-1. They haven't won a single game in SoFi Stadium. I think they go to 0-2 this week.
Oh, wow. The stadium itself defending as Greg. Greg's going to flip his pick?
It's a house of horrors. Yeah, I'm flipping that pick.
All right. Dimes and Warren have shown they've got a special connection. But the hottest duo in the league right now has to be Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Horton wide to the right side. Play fake. Darnold has time. Gonna let it fly. JSN is out there. JSN has it. Touchdown! Seahawks! A spike in the end zone and a 61-yard rocket to number 11. JSN puts 6 more on the board for the Hawks. And that's how you loosen up that defense that is fighting you tooth and nail at the line of scrimmage. You throw over them, and the Seahawks explode for a big touchdown reception.
The Seahawks tamed the Jags last week. Now they're playing host to C.J. Stroud and the Texans on Monday Night Football. Houston coming off of their bye. Who has the edge here, Greg?
I'll give it to the Seahawks, but I love this game. Inject it into my veins. Seahawks win by a point, but I just think it's going to be an awesome contest. Ultimately, I'm going with the Seahawks because of Jackson Smith in Jigba. Look, can we please stop saying that these Ohio State wide receivers are, they're a safe pick. Oh, they're like a high floor, but like a low ceiling, not that exciting wide receivers out of the slot. Don't even call them a slot receiver because they are playing on the outside. Jackson Smith and Jigba has about 150 yards more playing on the outside, more than any receiver in the league. But between him and Emeka Egbuka, those two are the most explosive, exciting, high ceiling. Their ceiling is the roof right now, and he is the best receiver of 2025, JSN in Seattle.
Had I known this was such a hot button issue for you, I'd have prepared some notes on this because I haven't seen you get that mad in quite some time. Anyways, I too have Seattle winning this one by a bigger margin, 22-19. I want to talk about Seattle's defense. Now, the way that they play defense allows their secondary to appear like even greater than they are. You don't have to have as much nuanced football knowledge to see just how great they are up front. They're not even blitzing, and they're getting tons of pressure on guys. And the back end's getting healthier. We've got Nick Ebenwari, and this guy is coming out of the gates just strong, looking like a veteran already. So I'm watching this defense, and I'm thinking, wow, there's something really interesting and special here. Obviously, Mike McDonald comes from the mold. He's a defensive coordinator at the Ravens. He comes from a very strong mold. Maybe that's one of the trees we need to get down with is the defensive molding from the Ravens. But I'm looking at this one, and I just think that this defense is too much to keep that hotness we saw from C.J. Stroud and company going in this matchup.
I will go all alone by myself and take the Houston Texans for the upset on the road this year with the virtue of their pass defense. We talk about great defenders. Derek Stingley Jr. and Kamari Lassiter are two very, very good ones. They're the number 2 EPA pass defense in the league. I know we saw highlights of them playing that game against Cooper Rush. That doesn't help. But think about what it took for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a healthier Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, to have to drive down the field and win the game. Yes, the Texans gave up that one, but as the offense sees a little bit of improvement, they go up to take on the Seahawks, who are the number 31 offense in terms of rush efficiency. They're going to have to pass against a pretty good defense, and I'm confident. As it's hard. It's hard for defenders to get wins. I think the Texans defense.
And when you are confident this year with the Straybon, 11-4 on Straybon picks. So if you add up all of our numbers, the prime numbers, the Just Greg's, we're 30-14 when we're out on an island. So when we're feeling confident, it has worked out this year.
All right.
I don't know what that means, but it's provocative.
Take it from Greg. On an island.
Provocative.
Coming up, don't know, but the Patriots are in first place in the AFC East. Greg's boy Drake May is balling. They're going to Nashville, and revenge. Mike Vrabel says it's not on his mind. He says it's interesting. Doesn't necessarily say it's important. Do the Patriots make it 4 straight wins? We'll tell you next.
Fake handoff to Stevenson. May feeling the pressure. Taking a shot. He's got his man. It's Pop Douglas, and he is in. Touchdown. And we got haymakers all over the place at the start. 53-yard strike from May.
Time for quick picks here on Game Day View. Those red-hot Patriots, winners of 3 straight, taking on the Titans. Does Mike Vrabel go back down to where he once coached, Greg, and get revenge?
He absolutely does in Nashville. He's lucky. He got out of that organization into a stable one where nothing bad ever happens. The Patriots win this game because of Drake May. If you had just showed me Drake May's stats after 6 weeks of this season before it started, I wouldn't have believed you how good they are. I'm trying to not get over my skis, but this man is 23 years old. His numbers are top 5 in basically anything you want to put up in the entire NFL. The only thing you can hold against him is the schedule, and you know what? It stays easy for a while, so I don't care if we're going to find out how he's going to do against better competition. He is cooking bad teams like the Titans.
But Greg levitating right now. All that matters is Drake May, my favorite Greg Rosenthal quote. Panthers and Jets at MetLife. Gang Green still looking for that first win of the year. They came close last week. Did they get it this time, Cynthia?
They do get it this time. 21-20. I was a little shocked when the model said that as well. However, this one comes down to consistency in the run game from Breece Hall. This is a prime number. Yep, we need to play that little music, or I can just do it, for you. But Breece Hall is consistently getting those explosive runs. And on the defensive side of things, they have Jermaine Johnson back, which changes things completely. He can actually set the edge. That's been something that they've been missing. So in this game, by the slimmest of margins, the New York Jets are officially off of the 0-win column.
We'll see if the Carolina Panthers can become, stop being the reverse Seahawks and go get a win on the road. They have needed to be in Charlotte. I will go to the Dolphins and the Browns. Miami is coming off that heartbreaker against the Chargers in a tumultuous week where it's like everything else in corporate America, way too much discussion about meetings. I think the Fins win it 14-10. And here's a weird stat. Devon Achane has ran to the left 61% of the time this season. It's the highest in what I'll call the handedness rate in the league. He had that 49-yarder going to the right. So there's that. Take from that what you will. But both Greg and I think that the
wow.
The Fins
are you seriously giving me a prime number on the Browns at home in the terrible conditions with Quinshon Judkins? Okay, whatever. I'll take it.
I mean, let's not get too confident about the Browns in any situation. I don't think how you can be confident in either of these teams, but I'm just saying.
You talk about handedness. This is also one that's interesting because it's two lefties, both from Hawaii.
Yes.
First time ever.
In a slog, which is why I have 14-10, considering the conditions. They are still to come. It's time to get wild and crazy. Our favorite prop bets of the week. We went 0-3 last week, so my math says we are due. It's time to let your free flag fly, Greg. Well, stick around. We got more Game Day View coming up. My pick is weird.
Learn from politics. You don't say the bad stuff.
We acknowledge truth, not politicians here. We're focused on the future. We'll be back. We're back on Game Day View. Set your alarms because Sunday Morning Football continues in London, presented by NetApp. Matthew Stafford and the high-flying Rams versus Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, only on NFL Network. Also streaming with NFL Plus. Subscription required for NFL Plus. Visit plus.nfl.com for terms. Grab that pen and paper. It's time for Write This Down as we get to some prop predictions for Week 7. Why don't you get us started off, Greg? Because we need some wins.
We're going to get some wins, and we're going to get wins from a guy who gave the Chargers a win last week. Ladd McConkey getting more than 65.5 receiving yards this week against a Colts secondary where I bet you cannot name one of their cornerbacks.
Charvarius Ward.
He's out this week. That's on the field. So it'll be like Mekhi Blackman.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. Sometimes you got to remember who you are, and you got to remind your coach who you are. Jim Harbaugh is talking about, his quarterback being Ethan Hunt, the head of Mission Impossible. Ladd McConkey is your number one wide receiver. He's the one making the impossible possible. He was the one who made this play. Yeah, it's nice that Keenan Allen's having a comeback season and Quentin Johnson is good down the field. Their best receiver is Ladd McConkey.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with your team, the Patriots, and it's Hunter Henry to score a touchdown. Now, a touchdown is a big thing to have happen, so there's good value here, if you know what I'm talking about. Why do I have this happening? Well, if you look at his red zone target percentage, it just paces all tight ends, and it paces the Patriots, and also it's higher than when Rob Gronkowski was playing with Tom Brady a couple of years ago. So, hey, there you go. That's a fun one.
I am going to try to bounce back from my first miss of Write This Down in this 2025 season because I said that Tenero McMillan was going to have yards. He wound up having touchdowns instead, so my apologies there. Bo Nix is playing up against the Giants defense that continues to allow deep passes against them. He's going to have a completion over 34 yards. Jalen Hurts would have had one last week, but he missed it. We miss you every single week. Come back and see us next week. For Cynthia Freeland, Greg Rosenthal, I'm Patrick Claybon. Thanks for watching Game Day.